Mark Shapiro has spoken out about how he wants to build this team and the future of the ball club, as well as the Blue Jays broadcast team. It has been revealed, so we'll break that all down on this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. I want to thank you all for the support that we've been getting. Not too much news in Jays land, some exciting things did happen, though, and we'll bring it all to you right now.
Yeah, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 7K subscribers, and like you said, the season's it's coming up quickly. So news, like you said, is down now, but we have some stuff to break into today. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. But let's get into it. Mark Shapiro speaks out on the future of the Blue Jays and the kind of culture that he wants to build. He had a one-on-one interview, I believe, with the Toronto Star. I could be wrong about that, but we'll break down the important stuff here. So this was the first thing he said. I think the next step for us is going from a young, talented team to a team that figures out how to be a championship team. And he also went on to say, Shapiro on the shifting Blue Jays attitude. Ultimately, what we're hopeful of is that we've built a team culture where our players take ownership of their fate, are holding each other accountable for high standards and expectations, and they are responsible for the outcomes. Peter, I'll get your thoughts on those things before I get into a couple other screenshots. I love hearing this stuff from Mark Shapiro, and he's always been a pretty good speaker. What are your thoughts on that?
Me too. I mean, the talent's always been there, Nick, and we've been pumping the Jays tires even before we started this channel. We were excited about the outlook of the team, just about the talent on the team and the larger than life personalities. You went through a couple of seasons with those core players and it just didn't work out. Something had to change. So the first domino to fall was Don Mattingly coming in saying, "No nonsense here. We're trying to win right now. We're bringing in one of the most storied players in the game's history, one of the most storied coaches in the game's history as well." That's what Don Mattingly is. Then the next domino to fall was Kevin Kiermaier, a guy who's been to a World Series before. He knows how to win. He's from a no nonsense organization himself. Then Brandon Belt, a World Series winner. Dalton Varsho, who goes all out on every single play. So these are the types of guys that you want to bring in to establish that culture Shapiro's talking about, and it seems like they're really honing in on that.
Yeah, and this has been an off season of huge changes, whether it's from the coaching staff to the team. So what he's saying now makes a ton of sense, and I'm happy that they actually made a change. As we spoke about it in videos right after we lost in the wild card series, that changes need to be made, whether they were huge, whether they were small, they needed to be done, and big changes were made. He also went on to say, this is regarding the wild card loss. I just don't find any solace in grieving. Said comfortable during the wide range interview. I find solace in getting back to work and moving forward. It was a bitter, disappointing end, but the season was not a disappointment. We'll use that bitterness as fuel to build our expectations this year, and we'll be better prepared for the postseason. And this was a very telling quote. And I agree with it. I mean, obviously, we can grieve as fans. We're allowed to grieve. And I grieved in the video directly after. I'm sure you did too. You were at the games. But at the end of the day, even though the season was, it wasn't a full failure. It wasn't what we wanted to see happen, but it led to changes that needed to happen. Because maybe we win the wild card series and then we lose in the first round. Who knows what would have happened then? And the team as constructed, and we knew this going into the postseason, at least, we know it now in hindsight. The way it was constructed was never going to win a World Series.
Yeah, well, we said it ourselves. We didn't pick them. I didn't pick them to win the
I
World
did as a
Series.
homer
You
take, but
you picked them. You picked them to make it. I think,
yes,
didn't
right,
you?
lose. Correct.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
and
lose.
then
Yeah.
they lost.
Yeah.
Look, like that's obviously we're going to be a little bit biased. I picked them to win the wild card series as well, but we knew that the roster was flawed, and you could pitch to the Blue Jays. You could throw them sliders down and away, specifically to Teoscar Hernandez, to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., to Bo Bichette. They were not figuring out the opposing pitchers because they didn't have to adapt. They could go at you the same way each and every game just because you're all right-handed. You just don't have that diversity in your lineup. But now they have it, and they have different elements to their game as well. They had just a bunch of big power hitters before. Now they got power hitters still, but guys that can run the bases, that play very good defense. So it's that's what you need. Whether they win the World Series or not this year, it remains to be seen. And only one team can win. We got to keep that in mind. Only one fan base is truly going to be happy at the end of the year. And is it a total failure if they don't win the World Series? I'm not sure, but I think they have a much better chance to do it now than they did at the start of last season.
Yeah, and it's about building blocks. At this point, again, World Series is the goal, and I don't know if I'd say it's the expectation, but it's what everyone wants. But he had one more thing to say here, and I'll just quickly touch on this before we move on. The strongest influences come from peer to peer, not from coach or the front office down, and that's what Atkins and our baseball ops have done. They provided that balance, a group of experienced players, a group of guys who are solely focused on winning, along with an incredibly talented core of players who are still growing and maturing into what they will ultimately be, and that's what you just touched on. It's I'm excited for it. It makes me more excited speaking about this, hearing him speak about it. Obviously, we have a much more diverse group of players. We have lefties, we have speed on the bases, we have way better defense, which I think is going to be the biggest thing. And the bullpen, underrated. It got a lot better. No more Anthony Banda and players like him. No disrespect to him, but it's just no more of that. But it'll be interesting to see. Do you have anything you want to touch on before we move on?
Yeah, it's just I really think we got to give Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro a lot of credit here, not only for what they did for this upcoming season, because I really think the Jays have a legitimate shot now. They should be in that upper echelon of teams, but also by extending the window. You know, you're holding on to Bichette, you're holding on to Guerrero, you got Dalton Varsho for a pretty big package, but he's still got 4 years of control left, you know, so you're not sacrificing the future of your team just to go all in this year. I think they understand that there's great competition around the league, but they've really built something special here and something that'll last for years to come as well.
Yeah, and they kept Ricky Tiedemann. Obviously, he would have been the big piece in the Brian Reynolds trade. They shifted, would rather give up their catcher, which I think was ultimately the good decision, and Reynolds wasn't moved anyways. But let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on that as we move into another topic now, which is the Blue Jays broadcast team being revealed. We'll just touch on this quickly as we have a couple of other topics here today, but this one is it's exciting. So I'll show you guys here. You have Dan Shulman, Buck Martinez, and Joe Siddall in the booth. You also have at the desk Jamie Campbell, Joe Siddall again, and Caleb Joseph, who I actually really enjoy his takes as a former player. We have Ben Wagner on the radio with Hazel May and Arden Zwelling as now an on-field reporter replacing Arash Madani. So best of wishes to Arash Madani, but Arden Zwelling is now taking over that. Do you have any crazy thoughts on this? I think this is probably one of the best groups we've had since I've started watching.
Right. I've really just before we touch on the current group here, I liked Arash Madani quite a bit. I thought he was consummate pro. You know, was good at his job, and you know, as a journalist myself, I like to. I looked up to a guy like that, and to the rest of the crew here as well. So if you pop it up one more time, Nick, we'll look at it over there. I'm excited to have Dan Shulman as the full-time guy. Now, hopefully, he can do all of the games and a lengthy playoff run as well. But Joe Siddall is very underrated in the booth, a former player himself. He's just very well spoken, and the guy just knows the game like the back of his hand, as does Buck Martinez, and the rest of the crew. Jamie Campbell is awesome. Hazel May, Arden Zwelling, just a bunch of great names there, and like you said, one of the best crews that we've seen.
Yeah, it's exciting, and we'll see what Arden Zwelling has to offer in his first year. He always has great takes on the podcast as well, the Athletic podcast. So I'm excited to see it, and yeah, we get Buck Martinez back and Dan Shulman, which is super exciting. Obviously, Pat Talber's gone as well, which we've covered in a few other videos now. But it'll be interesting to see as we move on to our third topic, which is the Bo Bichette contract details have been fully revealed. Yesterday we had we have the exact numbers and broke it down. And Peter, you were very, very close with your prediction, or at least what you saw. 6.1 million in 23, 11 million in 24, 16.5 in 25 with a signing bonus. Do you have anything you want to touch on this quickly? Obviously, we discussed this in yesterday's video and the video before, but I'm pretty happy with this. It makes a lot of sense. It wasn't all the same. It's getting gradually, it's increasing as the seasons go on. But do you have any quick thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's cost effective, and if Bo Bichette takes strides as a player, which I'm sure he will, he works very hard. It'll be very worth it by the end of that contract. Now, I think I said 6, 10 and a half, and 16. I don't
Yeah,
know. So
something like
I
you were
think I
close
was
though. You were
something like
close.
that. So yeah, I was close. I was close. I didn't toot my own horn there, but yeah, that's pretty good value for Bo Bichette. And like we said, we both agreed on it. If he becomes an average to above average defender, it's a steal, and he's going to get 200 to 300 plus million in free agency when he hits the open market.
Yeah, I agree. I like the way it's spread out. And if you want more analysis on that, you can check yesterday's video or the video before. We had both of those. I won't touch on that too much. And this is a quick final topic. We had 4 for you guys today. And this one is an insane Dalton Varsho stat that I just wanted to show you guys and show you, Peter, as well. It's pretty interesting and maybe Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins playing some 4D chess. Varsho gets a nod in the cleanup spot because he has by far the best WOPA on the team against 97 plus mile per hour pitches over the last 3 seasons at 446, which is better than Guerrero. He hits velocity really well, which is honestly something that not a lot of players do in the MLB or on the Blue Jays. Obviously, you have Vladdy and people like that, but I don't know, Varsho. I'm excited to see how he grows. He's obviously only 26 years old. I could see him being a really good player, 5+ WAR this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Teoscar Hernandez was very good at hitting the fastball too. The only thing he struggled on was the slider low and away. Now it remains to be seen how Varsho uh, adapts to the off-speed pitches, but a lot of his highlights that I saw were him hitting absolute rockets off 90, 97 plus, and I can't wait to see him in a Jays uniform.
Yeah, there was a clip circulating where he hit, I think, a home run off. I forget who it was, 102 miles per hour, and he took a yard, a 3-run bomb. But it was very good, and it's exciting to see.
Yeah.
He has a lot of potential. He's still young. Obviously, we gave up Gabby Moreno, which a lot of people. I'm excited to see how Gabby does in Arizona as well, because he was not going to get the playing time we needed unless we would have shipped off Jansen or Kirk. But I think Kirk, as we touched on yesterday's video, can do really well. But do you have any final thoughts on that before we wrap it up?
No, I think we're all good, Nick.
All right,
Excited for the Super Bowl.
yeah, Super Bowl is exciting. We should have a video out for you guys tomorrow. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, so I'll keep you updated in the community post or the community tab. We should see you guys tomorrow. We might take Sunday off for the Super Bowl to enjoy that, but we'll see you guys tomorrow or in the next video nonetheless.
Thanks.